Hello, welcome back to the Devil on the G-String. The school day greeted me with a bizarre incident. I stepped over to my desk. Several photos were strewn across it. I have no idea where or when they had been taken. They were pictures of me in the act of falling asleep. My eyelids were drooping and my mouth was hanging wide open. In other words, I looked like an idiot. A note with the word thread written on it had been clumsily stashed in the desk. If you don't want your CDs, pay up 500 trillion yen. Might be.
Yeah, Kyosuke-kun. Ohayo.
Hey, kid.
どうしたの？何かあった？
You know.
まさか脅迫されてるの？
Fess up.
何？全然わかんない。お金払えって？
Yeah, 500 yen.
500億万円だよ。あ、しまった。ちくしょう！はめやがったな。
God, where did you get this anyway? I held up the photo of me looking like an idiot.
ウケる。
Stop laughing, jerk.
返せ！
He lunged at the photo and snatched it with the agility of a monkey. Hey, give me back.
誰が渡すかよ。これでお前は俺のおもちゃだ。
You think so?
そうよ。この写真がある限り、お前は俺の言うことを聞かなければならんわけよ。
Shiratori aside, I don't really want that photo leaked to the masses. Alright, if you say so.
わかりましただろうが。
Yes, sir. What do you want me to do?
そうだな。お前が女だったらやらせることは一つなんだが。
Wait, what would you make me do if I were a girl?
頭見てね。
Oh, okay. You had me there for a second.
よーし決めた。便所掃除してこい。
Why?
なんとなくくせえじゃん。
You've got to be proving me.
みんな聞いて。
Hey.
京介くんのお宝画像が。
Fine, I'll do it, sir.
素直に言うことを聞けばいいんだよ。
All I have to do is clean it, right?
便器飲める勢いでやれ。
You'll give me those pictures back once I'm done, right?
もちろんだと思う。
Alright, I'll get on it right now. AT laughed triumphantly as I turned and left the classroom. I'm in the mess restroom. I half-heartedly scrub at the fixtures and surfaces. For about 10 minutes, I do not know how this kid is our friend. At that point, I start writing on the walls with water. He is a pervert. My masterpiece didn't last but about a minute before it dribbled and evaporated. Dripped and evaporated away. As I leave the restroom, I bump into Shiratori.
おはよう。
Morning.
掃除してたの？
Why?
洗剤の匂い。
Yeah, I was.
そう。偉いのね。
I didn't volunteer for the job, if that's what you're thinking.
私はお花に水をやりに。
Why? Can't you just leave it to someone else?
いいのも好きでやってるから。
I see. Oh, later.
うん。
Her wistful voice trailed behind me. The task is finished, Master Edikichi-san.
ああ、そうかそうか。ご苦労さん。
Now give me back those photos.
およ。
He obediently handed them over. Phew, making me do all that crap. What's so funny?
いやいや、これで終わったと安心しているお前がおかしくてね。
Huh? Ah.
そうよ、ネガよ。写真のネガは俺が持ってるわけよ。ネガを返すとは言ってないわけよ。
Are you kidding me? Freaking kidding me.
一度言ってみたかったんだよな、このセリフ。
What kind of dick always wanted to blackmail someone?
安心させておいて絶望を味わわせる。最初からお前を許す気なんてないわけよ。
He punctuated his monologue by pulling an exact copy of the photo he handed me out of his pocket.
つうわけで、これを白鳥に。
Wait a second, you son of a gun.
白鳥さん
He's too fast.
何
Shiratori always scowled coldly when approached by Iichi or the other classmates.
あのね、これ見て。
He held the photo up to Shiratori's face. Well, at least she wasn't scowling anymore. Iichi, you dumb...
ダメミラこれは嫌われちまえ。かわいい。
Her cheeks went red.
なんでこれもらってもいいけど。
Shiratori reached for the photo Iichi was holding and quickly hid it in her bag. Hey, Shiratori, give me that back.
やだ。
You... I scratch my head and Iichi moans.
そんな。おいおい、とんだピエロってやつじゃねえかよ。俺は。
He collapsed to the ground pitifully. Lunch break. I was on the rooftop with Shiratori. She had made me lunch again. I suppose my food expenses are going down, at least. Aren't you eating?
いい。
I didn't talk much as I ate.
私邪魔。
I don't mind you being here, but say something. The silence is killing me. She looked puzzled.
今日お弁当を作るために卵を割ったの。
Right.
そしたら君が2個出てきた。
Yeah, that happens sometimes. What happened then?
それだけ。
Yeah, some eggs have a two
なんと
yolks
な
in
く
them.
嬉しかっ
It's
た。
neat. Right, next.
昔夜空に浮かぶ星を見てた時、
Yeah?
ああ流れ星って誰かが言った。そしたらもう見えなくなってた。
Well, I suppose that's to be expected. Those things move quickly.
私コピーを取る時、1枚目はどうあがいても失敗するの。
Yeah, I can sympathize with that.
先週お手洗いの便座カバーを買いに行って U 字か O 字かわからなくなって一度引き返したの。
The troubles of everyday life, I see.
あとね、
There's more?
テレビ放送の映画見てると CM になったら急に音が大きくなってびっくりする。
You don't say.
レンタル DVD 見終わって停止ボタンを押したらやっぱりテレビの音が大きくてびっくりする。
Her incessant rambling continued until the next class started. I had a hunch that Shiratori would accost me again after school. She didn't fail to deliver.
今日は時間ある？
I am, but I've no intention of playing around with you. Later.
明日は？
Oh, yeah, there's no school tomorrow. I could easily arrange to meet with her, but... Do you want to hang out with me that much? She nodded over and over.
そばにいられれば。
What a pain. Being together might be fun for you, but it's boring for me. She had nothing to give me, after all.
クラシックのコンサートのチケット余ってる。
What? Wait. I need to calm down. I almost stood up in a frenzy. I'll pass.
そんな嘘でしょ？
My response seemed to be quite unexpected.
じゃあどうすれば？
Do you really want to be with me that much?
うん。
I don't get it. What spurred Shiratori this far? I need to think about this seriously. What use is Shiratori to me? Is she anything but a waste of time? Fair enough. Come over to my apartment tonight.
うち？
Yeah, I can make some time later.
でも
What?
いきなりお家なんて。しかも夜に。私門限があってあまり遅くなると父に叱られる。
You're quite a lady, aren't you?
最近は夜更かししてるから父の機嫌も悪くて。
Never mind then. We can hang out next week. I turned my back to Shiratori. Why should I rearrange my schedule around her? Well, she's given up by now, so it's no big deal.
待って。行く。住所を教えて。
She seems serious. Hmm.
普通の人は恋愛に意味なんて考えないものよ。
Yuki spoke while elegantly wafting the aroma of a cup of black tea towards her. Mizuha's older sister's adult gestures had always fascinated her.
でも彼は別ね。きっと今頃あなたが自分にとってどんな利益をもたらしてくれるかを考えてる。
利益？
Yuki crossed her legs and her face became unusually serious.
はっきり言って今夜はやめておいた方がいいわ。
どうして？
もう少し彼が心を開くまで待つべき。
だからどうして？
厳しい言い方してもいい？
Mizuha froze up. A dark light occasionally twinkled in her sister's eyes, one the likes of which she had never seen in her sheltered
あ
life.
なたは彼にとって何の役にも立たないのよ。
Mizuha was at a loss for words.
彼は強いわ。これまでも大抵のことは一人で何とかしてきたんでしょう。でもあなたはどう？
Mizuha's heart had been wrung true. She had never faced adversity. She had never even faced inconvenience. Her father had the money to buy her whatever she wanted. Books, telescopes, stuffed toys, everything she owned, her
でも
father had bought
う
her.
ちは姉さんも知っての通り冷めてるから。
Her mother and father rarely saw each other. Mizuha had no idea what drove her mother to marry an arrogant man like her father. She might as well chalk it up to the fact that they met each other in their prime marriageable years. There certainly didn't seem to be anything deeper in their relationship. The vast, empty house she grew up in did nothing to ease the sensation that her parents were merely passing their lives together with nary a second thought nor purpose. However, despite Mizuha's concerns, her sister spoke up harshly.
絶対にそんなことを彼の前で話してはダメよ。
Mizuha's kind sister went silent for a moment. Before Mizuha was rarely seen the side of Tokita Yuki, the one which had lived through some of the greatest difficulties an enemy could muster.
彼は想像を絶するような家庭環境に育ってきたわ。夫婦仲が冷めてるですって。そんな家庭いくらでもあるじゃない。
ごめんなさい。
彼が興味を持つ女性は多分こう。
Yuki said as she raised her index
特段優秀な能力や財力を持っているか、彼のトラウマを癒してくれるような心を持っているか、もしくは深い絆で結ばれた誰か。
優秀な能力っていうと姉さんみたいな。
Mizuha's question prompted Yuki's eyes to widen. She quickly shook her head with her eyes smiled.
そうね。実は私があなたの最大のライバルだったりして。
そんな。
Mizuha involuntarily shouted, and the bartender gave them a curious glance.
落ち着いて。私が言ったのは、例えば浅井かのんちゃんみたいに世界が認めるような実力者のことよ。
そんなの私にはないよ。
じゃあ彼の心を理解してあげる？深い傷を癒してあげられる？
Her sister's eyes told her that any attempt would be in vain. Indeed, Mizuha was immature. She was never really able to speak to people until her recent reunion with her sister. She merely hid within a practiced, hardened shell, choosing to ignore the glores of society and her peers. It would be impossible for a girl like that to excise a complex darkness from the heart of her lover.
もう無理なのかな。
なら彼は私がもらおうかしらね。私もようやく付き合ってもいいかなと思える男に巡り会えたわ。
Was she joking? Was she serious? Mizuha couldn't tell.
どうする？水葉。譲ってくれる？姉妹で争うなんて私はごめんだからね。
Mizuha hung her head. Shock coursed through her every vessel. In the end, Azai, Kyosuke, and Shiratori Mizuha weren't meant to be.
姉さんの言う通りにする。
諦めるってこと？
Mizuha was puzzled.
ひとまず今日はやめておくっていうこと。
へえ。
Yuki's eyes seemed to be able to bore through Mizuha's frivolity, able to thoroughly condemn her. The sun set, and just beyond the coffee shop's window, snow began to settle upon the metropolitan expanse of Central Boulevard. It's beyond frigid today. Shiratori isn't going to come, is she? What does she think will happen, I wonder? The plan was for her to come to the apartment of a boy she barely knows. Even if she did turn out to be somehow oblivious of my obvious intentions, Tokito would warn her about the situation. The sing-song call of the intercom surprised me. It was snowing outside, but both Shiratori and Tokito were at the entrance. I let them in without exchanging a word over the speaker. What do they want? Did Tokito plant some questionable thought in Shiratori's mind again? After a few moments, my apartment's door opened. They were both still in their uniforms. Apparently they hadn't been home since school ended.
いいお家ね。
Tokito spoke theatrically and spread her arms in a fitting manner. Come in, Shiratori. What are you doing here, Tokita?
用はないわ。時間も時間だから水葉を送ってきただけ。もう帰るわ。
Is that so?
それじゃあ水葉、あとは自分で何とかするのよ。
Tokita.
何？
Nothing. Never mind.
そう。じゃあね。
She leaves with that. It seems she really was just escorting Shiratori here. The door closes. Only Shiratori and I remained, and she promptly put on the expression of an abandoned child. I'm surprised you showed up.
あなたが来いって言った。
Her fingertips faintly trembled. Even she can't be naive, infantile enough to fail to grasp the situation.
何すればいい？
I had no loving hesitation for her. What do you think?
何？
We're dating, right?
うん。
I laughed darkly. You're not expecting some fairy tale love or anything like that from me, are you? The quivering of her fingertips spread to her shoulders. I sat down on the bed and beckoned her to me. Come here, I'll show you what kind of guy I am. What use is Shiratori to me? Why the hesitation? Gonzo once told me that are to be eaten up. Girls are to be eaten up. No. He said that was her purpose in existence. This is the whole reason I invited you over.
わかった。
She slowly shuffled over as if sliding on the flooring.
どうすれば？
Give me a second to brainstorm here. I stared fixedly at the terrified girl before me. The image I beheld sparked the first glimmer of doubt in me. Trying to push that aside, I groped out for her. I grabbed both her hands. Shiratori's body jumped as if she were a violin string I had just attacked with a bow and grand martele. I noticed something. Something in Shiratori's left hand. She had been holding something behind her back ever since I opened the door. It reflected the room's light for a moment. What's that?
CD.
She presented it to me with both hands. I look at the CD jacket. Judging from the track list, the title may as well have been called An Introduction to Bach. Why did you bring something like this?
一緒に聞こうと思って。
I'll pass. I've never even heard of the performer. That shelf over there has plenty of better quality Bach just waiting to be played.
そうよね。
Did you become interested in classical music just so you have something to talk to me about?
そう。
Oh. That's actually pretty cute.
ごめん。役に立てなくて。
She looked down dejectedly once more. That motion forced me to confront the fact that I was doing nothing here but trying to torment the weak. Is that acceptable? As Gonzo had taught me to pounce on prey the second it leaves itself open. However, jumping and devouring this poor girl fulfilled nothing but my sexual desire. Unlike business, this isn't a kill or be killed situation. I think for a moment and decide. That this isn't my path. Shiratori lets out a sob as I address her. I'm sorry. No, I was addressing myself. I was addressing the flaring emotions within me in an attempt to amend my heart.
え？
Nothing. Don't worry about it. I stand up from the bed and avert my gaze from Shiratori. Let me walk you home. It's late.
なんで
Violating you would be a senseless act of cruelty. Despite seeming so obvious, I nearly glossed over this realization entirely. I took my tasteless prodding 10 steps too far. I almost forgot you were a human being. Shiratori isn't prey.
ありがとう。
She seemed to finally stop shaking.
私
Hmm?
えっと
She shut her mouth tightly, then looked down with a blush. Let's go. I speak bluntly, and Shiratori silently follows behind me. I drive us to Shiratori's house. I come around and open the passenger door for Shiratori, then escort her to the door.
浅井君
Snow falls gently onto her eyelids. I don't think it'll do as an apology, but let's spend time together tomorrow.
待って
Shiratori seemed to want to say something, and finally resolved herself enough to look me in the eye.
本当は今日ね私お別れを言いに来たの。いやお別れというかもうやめにするって言いに来たの。あなたと私じゃ全然釣り合わないから。
Did you really?
ごめんなさい。勝手ばっかり言って。
Don't worry about it. We can stop whenever you're ready. Shiratori shook her head left and right, as if to add something.
でもやっぱり諦めきれなくて CD 持ってきたの。
She did mention listening to it together, or something like that. Oh, I actually left that back at my place.
どうしたらあなたが喜ぶのか、いやどうしたら振り向いてもらえるのかって全然わからなくなってしまって。
I see.
2年も前から片思いしてたのに実際話すようになって自分の未熟さにびっくりしてるだけで。
I see. Snow piled on this white girl's head. It was beautiful, but ultimately overshadowed by the beauty of the girl. Under normal circumstances, one might consider asking such a girl out for no particular reason. The fact that she held such earnest feelings for me, feelings I couldn't reciprocate, struck me with a bit of heartache. You did pretty well, I'd say. In your own way, at least. You took the time to learn about classical music, despite being uninterested in it. You made me lunches. You're breaking curfew as we speak, actually. She broke curfew to knowingly risk getting violated. I've got no experience either. I was too condescending to you, especially seeing as how you were running around trying your hardest. I promise not to do that from now on. I mean, if there even is a from now on. Shiratori quickly bit her lip.
よければもう少しだけでも見てください。
She hung her head as if begging me. Alright, but...
分かってる。浅井君が私のことを好きなわけではないって。
I'm sorry. I gazed into Shiratori's eyes. You know, I think I figured out my direction from here on out. My path in life, so to speak. I decided I will never pick on the weak like Shiratori ever again. Well, see you tomorrow. I've also decided to talk more about myself when I see her next. I want us to be able to date as equals and to lay myself bare. After all, perhaps that's what it means to be someone's boyfriend.
ありがとう。 すみ。
Giratori's smiling lips were glistening wet in the moonlight. I have no idea if they shone with tears or melted snow. Okay, it's become really late. Is Shiratori being scolded by her father right now? Suddenly, my phone rang. It was Tokita, the not-so-unlikely puppeteer behind the events of tonight.
Mizuha からあらすじは聞いたわ。
Oh, Vixen.
あの子、あなたにもうメロメロよ。
You're like a dirty old man, you know that? And what's with head over heels? Are you going to say you expected this to happen?
9割くらいはね。大丈夫だと思ってたわ。
Leaving me with a 10% chance of ruining your sister's life.
でもしなかった。あなたは悪党だけどゲスじゃないわ。きちんと水葉と向き合ってくれると思った。
So you forced her, as terrified as she was, into the lion's den?
私は背中を押しただけよ。
You're more than half a scoundrel yourself. Well, congratulations on a job well done.
ほんと。手間がかかる妹だわ。
Tokita forced a laugh.
うまくいくといいわね。
Yeah, well, that's just what you want. I don't really give a crap either way.
わかってるわよ。水葉のために祈ったの。
There was genuine consideration in her tone this time around. She's most likely been through hardships incomparable to Shiratori's. However, even with those deep-rooted wounds, she manages to care for her half-sister.
じゃあ、さようなら。
Yeah, and, if anything comes up and you need some help,
あ
call
ら
me.
あら、らしくないこと。どうりで雪が降るわけね。
Not like me, huh? As usual, Tokito talks like she knows me.
そのうち頼りにさせてもらうわ。
Tokito leaves me with that and hangs up. Silence falls. I pick up the jewel case Shiratori had left here earlier this evening. The album was a compilation of famous organ pieces, and none of its tracks really tickled my fancy. Nevertheless, I put my fingertips to the edge of the case. Shiratori must have listened to the CD quite often. The corner of the case was chipped just a bit, and it didn't latch as well as a new one. I'll give it a listen before I go to sleep. Shiratori had desperately tried to share this box with me in her own way. Wait! Hey! I reflexively shouted. The case was empty. I held my head at Shiratori's goofiness and went to sleep. The next day's sky was clear, as if yesterday's snow never happened. I arranged to meet Shiratori at a hamburger joint in Central Boulder. When I got there, she was already standing around waiting. Yo, were you waiting long?
あ、30分くらい。あ、じゃなくて、今来たところ。
Guess she's been here a while.
ごめん、気を使わないで。私が勝手に待ってただけだから。
If you say so. Anyway, what do you want to do?
あ、なんでもいい。
What do you usually do?
なんだろう。勉強かな。
No, I meant in your free time.
漫画読んだり、映画見たり。
Oh, a regular homebody, huh? Buddy. Yeah. She nodded her head up and down.
姉さんが来てからは、姉さんとおしゃべりしてる。
Let me guess. You were up chatting on the phone with her ridiculously late last night.
興奮して眠れなくて。
Shiratori smiled bashfully. Want to go see a movie or something?
あ、見たい映画あったの。
Really? Which one?
仁義なき博多駅前っていう。
A Yakuza movie? That's a surprise.
そういうのちょっとかっこいいなって思ってたの。
I'm not a Nate man, just so you know.
あ、それは分かってる。
Well, but that doesn't mean we can't go see the movie. Where was the movie theater again? I don't go there very often.
でもいいよ。浅井くんに合わせるよ。
I don't have a whole lot of hobbies either, outside of listening to classical music. So at times like these, I'm not really sure what to do. I give Shiratori the honest truth, and she seems relieved. You don't have to worry about me.
使うよ。
That's enough sappiness for now, since you'll have me blushing at that rate. We awkwardly head toward the movie theater. Shiratori was a little nervous before the film started, but once it did, she suddenly immersed herself into the silver screen. It goes without saying, but I didn't hold her hand or anything in the darkness of the theater. After around 90 minutes, the credits rolled and we stepped outside. I'm beat. I stretched my back.
面白かった。
I guess. They killed off too many characters for my taste. Shiratori's cheeks flushed red.
残酷なのは私も嫌だけど、なんだろう、ほら、兄貴が弟分をかばって撃たれるところとか。
Is it the chivalry that gets to you?
かっこいい。
I've never really felt anything like that from watching Gonzo and his entourage.
浅井くんは本物の拳銃とか見たことあるの？
She had the look of a curious child in her eyes. Maybe.
撃ったことは？
Can we change the subject?
あ、ごめんなさい。つい。
It's not like everyone in the mafia has a gun, and only a handful of people have actually shot one.
浅井くんは組織の中でどういう立場なの？
Hey now. However, I knew Shiratori was more than half interested. And just yesterday, I decided to open up to him. I just do whatever my father tells me to. That company I work for is the Zai Corporation, and while I do pretty much any odd job that needs doing, my main role is as my father's representative when he's too busy to meet with people or discuss matters on the phone.
じゃあ、ヤクザの兄貴分ってわけじゃないのね。
Not at all. I'm sure you've seen me around before. Around them
う
before.
ん。なんだか怖い顔で、怖い人たちに命令してた。
They all just try to suck up to me because I'm the boss's adopted son. Making light of me would be like making light of my old man.
そっか。
What? Are you disappointed or something?
うん。ちょっとだけ浅井くんを近くに感じられた気がして嬉しいの。
She smiled, satisfied. Is there anything else you want to ask?
他に？
You know, bits and pieces about what you always called my second base.
じゃあ、いいかな。
She raised her hand.
いつも電話しているのは、誰なの？
I thought that might come up. Yuki-chan is a work colleague.
そうなんだ。
I'm not coming on to other women.
そっか。ごめんなさい。
Why the apology?
いや、浅井くんって裏表がある人だと思ってて、 今までそれに突っかかってて、疑ってしまう。
Well, I am two-faced, and while I was annoyed at your incessant attitude, it shouldn't have come as a surprise seeing as I threw away your chocolates years ago. 2 years ago.
いいの。
She gave a lonely smile.
もっと早くにこうやって話せていればよかったな。
Now that I've taken the time to start understanding Shiratori, I've realized that she's just another normal girl. We still have lots of things to talk about, right? Let's grab a bite to eat or something. I promised Shiratori, and we walked through the city. We picked up some hot dogs and burgers, then came to the park. I spent time with Shiratori, ignoring call after call from the Mizuha Corporation. Shiratori, can I ask you something a little nosy? It's something I never cared about until now. What's going on with your dad, the director? Between the bribes and the hostage case and the other day, he seems to be in a lot of trouble. Shiratori looked away as if she was thinking.
どうかしら。外では困っているような顔をしているけれど、あまり家では話をしないし。
What? You guys don't eat dinner together or anything?
めったにないわ。父はほとんど家を空けているから。いつも夜中に帰ってくるの。でも私の門限には厳しくて。
Is work really keeping him that busy these days?
いや、女の人のところに行っているみたい。
I see. That's quite common.
うん。
Her face suddenly stiffened. Oh, sorry. It's just not unheard of for rich men to keep mistresses. Nevertheless, it must be a shock to Shiratori. I mean, yeah, that must be tough on you.
ありがとう。
I'm not used to offering consolation, so I botched the attempt. It's just, look, your dad might be a bad guy, but... Bad guys are usually bad for a reason. Maybe you should try to talk to him sometime. Well, every once in a while, you come across an evil man who fights just to hurt people, but that's rare.
そんなこと考えもしなかった。
Her eyes opened wide.
そうね。もっと相手を理解しないとダメよね。
Well, I just thought it might make you feel better.
やってみる。浅井くんとも話ができるようになったんだから。
You should consult Tokita about it.
あ、姉さんはダメ。
Shiratori's face suddenly clouded.
姉さんは父を恨んでるから。父の話が出るだけで怖い顔になるの。嫌なこと思い出すんだと思う。
She hates him, huh? I hear that she and her mother were thrown out of the house. But Tokita is happy now, right?
だと思う。お父さんが立派な方だから。
Her mouth suddenly snapped shut, as if she had come to a realization.
あ、でも姉さんの話とか聞いたことないの。
Are you always the one talking? She nodded.
姉さんも困ってるのかな。
She's the type to sort things out on her own.
あ、それ姉さんが浅井くんに対して言ってたのと同じ。
That I'm the type to sort out everything myself? Well, she's wrong for once, then. Like I've said before, my dad's influence. That influence helps with just about everything I
そうは
do.
見えないけど。
Anyway, look, your drink is about to spill. The soda can in Shiratori's hands was tipping over dangerously. Its contents poured out onto the park's grass. That's almost as bad as what you pulled with the CD yesterday. You're a little absent-minded, aren't you?
CD?
The box CD. The case was empty.
そうなの？
Yeah, you messed up a little.
今度持ってくるわ。それとももういらない。
Nah, lend it to me. We can listen to it together when we've got the time.
合わせる時間いつでも言って。
She spoke as if challenging me to pick an opportune time, fist clenched and all. Don't get too excited now.
ごめん陽介くん。
The invitation was a little embarrassing for me, too, but a little embarrassment feels good every once in a while. Wait, Kyosuke-kun? This time her whole face went red, and she started trembling. Calm down.
ごめんなさいごめんなさい。いつも家ではそうやって呼んでて。
To who?
心の中で。
I don't mind. It's just a name.
なんてこと。
She looked like she was going to cry. It was kind of funny. Certainly different from my usual lifestyle focused on money and power. Before me was a girl who became flustered just by calling me by my given name. And then there was me, laughing heartily at the scene. In all honesty, it was a breath of fresh air. What? Why'd you get all silent all of a sudden?
恥ずかしくて。
Don't be. Say something. She seems to think of something and speaks up.
月決め駐車場って
Ah,
子供の頃月局駐車場って読まなかった？
yeah, I might have.
あと子供の頃テレビの中には人がいるって思わなかった？
Yeah, I guess.
子供の頃歯磨き粉を洗面所の鏡に飛ばしてオリオン座を作らなかった？
I can't say I did.
それから
I think I might strangely like that series of yours.
今日はありがとう。忙しいのに。
Yeah, don't worry about it. It was nice to cut loose a little and have some fun.
楽しかった？
How many times do I have to tell you to stop being so excitable? I smiled bitterly.
メールしてもいい？
Sure.
やった。
The innocent expression she wears now and then throws me off some. Sorry, but I can't take you home today. There's this little thing I need to take care of.
いいのいいの。悪いよ。
Sorry.
まだ明るいし、駅。
Supposedly it'll snow again this evening, so you might want to hurry up and go home.
じゃあ、また。
Shiratori slightly bowed her head, then went down the subway stairs. Midway, she turned back a few times, each time smiling shyly. Phew. Gonzo and I are scheduled to meet soon. We'll have to discuss future plans for the territory we recently acquired from the Shin'e group. The thought suddenly jarred me back into reality. But if I'm just now entering reality, does that mean my time spent with Shiratori was a dream? I guess I'll go out with her, I casually think. A gorgeous girl like that, earnestly saying over and over that she loves me. That should be plenty enough reason to date her. Nevertheless, I kind of feel like I want more push. Snow again? By the time Gonzo and I finish our conversation, it's already dark. I walk through the Southern District's residential area as snow steadily falls on my shoulders. Oh, yeah, Shiratori's house is near here. I wonder what she's doing right now. Shortly after we had parted ways on Central Boulevard, I received a text message. I was so happy today. Thanks for being so nice to me. I got to go eat with Dad now. I think I'll take your advice, Asai-kun. I'll try to talk to him more. See you later. Shiratori's words gave me a glimpse into her feelings. She's confused as to how intimate she should act around me. She flops back and forth between being very polite and very casual in her speech. If Shiratori really became my girlfriend, how would I talk to her? And she seems a little dependent, too. Tokita? I take the phone in hand.
こんばんは。今大丈夫かしら？
Yeah, why?
ちょっと話がしたいんだけれ
Okay.
ど。出てこれない？今セントラル街のバーにいるんだけど。
Alright, sure.
じゃあ待って。
She hung up after one last alluring statement. Is this about Shiratori again? She's pretty considerate. I head for Central Boulevard once more. I go to the bar Tokito is waiting at, and she gestures me toward her seat at the counter. Out of all the drinks they serve here, why are you drinking that?
あなたも飲む？ミルクだけど。
I order something more appropriate and sit down next to Tokita. Well, what do you want?
まあまあ。
Don't be so hasty. Time waits for no one, you know.
そうね。
She seemed to be thinking about something.
複雑なあなたにぜひお母さんの話がしたくてね。
Mother? Your mother? Why does she want to talk about that with me?
あなたも何か抱えてそうだから。
Stop talking like you can read people's minds.
私のお母さんってね、ハーフだったのよ。
Tokita suddenly begins her story.
幼い頃に日本に来て、それ以来一度も故郷に帰っていないらしいの。
Oh? What country was she from? I stare fixedly at Tokita.
アメリカのどこか。
That's vague. She sighed.
母さん、死ぬ前に一度くらいは故郷の海を見たかったって。
I had sort of guessed it some time ago, but Tokita had never outright mentioned that her mother had died. Well, then she was born somewhere near the ocean, right?
みたいね。機会があったらアメリカ中の海を回ってみるつもりよ。
Good lord, how long do you think that'll take? Tokito laughed lightly again.
これ
She pointed at a small hand mirror on the countertop. You're not going to say that's your mother's memento, are you?
どうしてわかったの？
You're so annoying.
この鏡を見ているとね、母さんを思い出すの。
It looked old, and there was a crack in the mirror.
私の後ろに母さんが立ってよく髪をすいてもらってたわ。
She stares down into the silvered glass as she speaks, clearly reminiscing about days gone by, as if calmly gazing at the face of her deceased mother behind her.
これがあれば母さんといつでも一緒。
She sighed heavily again.
そう、海だって見せてあげられる。
You're uncharacteristically sappy this evening.
じゃあ本題に移ろうかしら。
I take a slightly defensive pose.
水葉はどう？
How? I shrugged my shoulders.
今日デートしてたんでしょ？気に入った？
She doesn't seem to be just teasing me. I thought she was unexpectedly cutesy, I guess.
嬉しいわ。
She smiles feebly.
ちょっと酔っ払ったこと言ってもいい？
You don't even have any alcohol on you.
そうだったわね。
What's with her? As I think she's acting a little strange, Tokita speaks up.
水葉と昔雪だるま作ったのよ。
A snowman? What about it?
楽しかったって話。
I keep quiet and listen to her. Oh.
いくつくらいだったか覚えていないけれど、この町の東区に小高い丘があったの。よく二人でそこで遊んだわ。少し話したと思うけれど、当時の家庭はひどかったわ。同じ家にお母さんが二人いるの。私の母はテキパキと家事をこなし、父親の仕事のスケジュールを管理していたわ。逆に水葉のお母さんはそれをじっと見てる感じだった。おろおろしながらも胸の内に嫉妬を隠していた。そんな家庭を作ったあの理事長もすごいけど、二人の母親もどうかしてたと思う。でも私と水葉は別だった。あの子はいつもとことこと私の後をついてきたわ。お風呂まで一緒に入った。お姉ちゃん髪洗ってってよく甘えてきたわ。私が何かで遠出した時なんかワンワン泣き出してしまってね。お姉ちゃんがどっか行っちゃうって本当に好きだったみたいよ。私のことが。いつだったか、私がクラスの男の子から誕生日か何かでプレゼントをもらったことがあるのね。そしたらもう一日中すねちゃってね。でも甘えてばっかりでもなかったわ。私が熱を出して寝込んだ時にね、一晩中枕元にいて看病してくれたもの。後で知ったのだけれど、その時水葉も熱があったの。辛いのを押して私のそばにいてくれた。一緒に作った雪だるまの名前は何だったかしらね。二人でせっせと作ったな。マフラー喜んでくれてたの。まさかまだ首に巻いてくれてたなんて。水葉ったら。
Hey, Tokita.
あ、ごめんなさい。寝るところだったわ。
Hey, now. The bags under her eyes testified to her weariness. Did something happen? Tokita laughed abruptly.
浅井京介くん。
What are you being all formal about? Tokita put her hands together and bowed her head at me.
お願い、水葉を幸せにしてあげて。
Huh? She took me by surprise.
あの子はまだ子供で一人じゃこれから大変だわ。
As I tried in vain to search for a reply, Tokita talked on and on rapidly.
ねえ、分かって。水葉の父は人間のクズで、母親も人形みたいな人なの。当然与えられるべき愛情も受け取っていなければ受け取り方も知らないの。それが証拠に私が来るまでほとんど誰とも口を聞かない毎日だったみたい。そんなあの子が初めて真剣に恋をしてるの。そりゃあ幼稚かもしれない。 好きになったきっかけも平凡かもしれない。でも本気なのはあなたも分かってくれてるでしょ。
I finally nod. Calm down a little. What's wrong?
お願いお願いよ。
Wait up. I've only just started to properly talk to her.
だから
So?
あの子はずっとあなたが好きだったのよ。
Tokita seems to have lost herself. This isn't like you, Tokita. Shiratori might have loved me all this time, but I've only just begun to notice her.
分かってる。そうね。
What's the rush? Tokita only vaguely shook her head. What's wrong, Tokita? If you're so worried about Shiratori, why don't you try convincing me with your specialty, proper persuasion?
分かってる。こんなやり方ではあなたの心は動かないって分かってるんだけど。
Though her next words seemed to be a spouted confession, they were no more than a mere murmur.
もう時間がないの。
Huh?
なんでもない。とにかくお願い。
Her voice choked on sobs.
水葉をよろしく。
Her begging climaxed into a downright prayer, and I was completely at a loss.
今日午後8時30分ごろ、登満別市西区の河川敷で普通乗用車が炎上しているのを巡回中の警察官が発見しました。車内からは男性1人の焼死体が見つかっており、現在身元の確認を急いでいます。 助手席に5リットル入りのガソリンタンクがあったことから、同署は事故と他殺の両面から捜査を。
Oh. That was the day Tokita suddenly disappeared from us. Us. From me and Mizuha. Mizuha's chapter, my sister's words. Oh. It was a cold night in the middle of December. Mizuha was having dinner at her parents' house, chatting with her father. Only a few dishes were laid out upon the table. The clinking of the tableware echoed around the dining room. Every now and then, her father sporadically spoke up.
一人暮らしは慣れたか?
Mizuha brightly nodded.
何でも慣れるものね。今では父さんたちと暮らしてたのが懐かしいくらいだわ。
彼とは会っているのか?
もちろん。
She used a lively tone, then scooped up a spoonful of the soup in front of her. She stuck out her chin a bit and gently brought the soup to her lips. Mizuha was mimicking her elegant sister.
結婚は考えているのか?
またその話?
She said, smiling
いい
wryly.
え、考えてもないわ。もっと将来の見通しが立ってからじゃないと。
Is that so? Her father murmured in response. The former director of the Jiugasaki school had lost the old sparkle in his eyes. His company had started to decline, and had been so far into the red at one point that there was talk of throwing in the proverbial towel. Even his receding hairline seemed a testament to his weariness these days. Mizuha learned to accept that father of hers. She spun her conversation with him in a calm tone of voice, looking into his eyes kindly. She was confident that the Mizuha he beheld now was far removed from her old self. The girl did nothing but put on show after show.
昔は
Her father began.
お前が幼かった頃はよくお嫁さんになりたいと。
Her father's voice withered apologetically.
すまん。子供の頃の話だな。
いいのよ、お父さん。懐かしいわね。
She won't depend on others anymore. That was what Mizuha had decided. 2 years and 10 months had passed since their sister disappeared. Mizuha graduated from high school and immediately entered the workforce. She joined a large company in the Central District, one that manufactures plastic containers of assorted sizes. The wages weren't particularly excellent, but she was certainly able to get by as long as she lived frugally, as long as she continued to forego the pleasantries of her past. Comics, stuffed animals, cute dresses, and the like. She lived quite a comfortable life. Mizuha's father was naturally against her working. He had always imagined she would continue on to university, eventually becoming married the heir to some successful business. But Mizuha, after losing a beloved sister a second time, refused to live a cozy life with her
それ
parents.
じゃあ父さん
She says her goodbye, and a frightened darkness blankets her father's eyes.
もう帰るわね
そうか。
He always seems to have something to say, but as usual, Mizuha's father holds
ご
his
めん
tongue.
ね彼と会う約束をしてるの
She lightly smiled, then stood from her seat. It's been a week since she last saw Kiyosuke. Time has done nothing to this vast cityscape. I casually look back on the old days 3 years ago. The hamburger joint where I had first arranged to meet with Mizuha still stays open until late into the night.
お待たせ
Mizuha showed up 5 minutes after we decided to meet here.
どうしたの
Nothing. I was just thinking back on old times.
そう
I miss the days when you used to show up 30 minutes early every last time we went out. Mizuha shrugged her shoulders jokingly.
負けたわ今晩はおごらせて
That's not what I meant.
いいのよ行きましょう
She invited me with her chin and walked ahead of me. That's something she'd never even think of doing back when I still called Mizuha Shiratori. The bartender poured a particularly strong bourbon over the ice in Mizuha's glass. She downed the drink, taking a moment to roll her tongue around to take in the flavor.
さて何か分かった
That question had become our ritual. Naturally, she's asking about Tokida's disappearance. Nothing.
無理もないわね姉さんがいなくなって3年だもの
I brought it up the other day to an informant with a lot of connections in the underground, but
ええ
he had nothing. What about the detective you hired? Has he still not found anything?
ダメね高いお金を払ったのに失踪した当日の足取りもつかめてないみたい
We've been talking about this for 3 years now. What about the man who was burned to death?
ええ片倉光一ね父の会社の役員だった
Heard anything from the police yet?
昨日も警察署に呼ばれたわ
3 years ago, a man named Katakura died. At first, we didn't know how that was related to us. Mizuha filled me in on most of the details after being called out by the investigation team assigned to the case. They claimed that Katakura's death and Tokiyo's disappearance were connected. Supposedly, they didn't tell her how they were connected, but if I were to venture a guess...
警察は姉さんが片倉を殺したのだと考えて今になって動き出したみたいね
I wasn't sure whether to be happy or sad. With the police looking for her, the chances of Tokita being found go up drastically. Well, they were looking for her before as a missing person, but things will be different now. Homicide cases have more backing, so their efforts will spike.
どう思うやっぱり姉さんが殺したのかしら
Mizuha gave a desperate look. Who knows?
姉さんは人を殺した考えたくないけれどそれなら連絡一つよこさずに姿をくらました理由も納得できる
Mizuha has changed over these past 3 years.
何にしても早く会いたいものだわ生きているのならね
She pulls the glass to her lips again. She doesn't seem drunk at all.
ユキっているよね。
Mizuha begged me for comfort. I was actually relieved at this rare glimpse of weakness. Of course she is.
ありがとう。
She gently put her hand on top of the counter. Apparently, it had been a prompt for me to hold it, as she eventually comes to rest her hand atop mine. However, she timidly pulls it back the next second, as if changing her mind.
仕事順調？
Her face stiffened, apparently in response to my gaze. The same as ever. I'm saving up slowly, but Gonzo sucks a whole lot of money out of me.
体壊さないでね。
A crease suddenly forms on Mizuha's brow. Don't worry about me. How many times do I have to tell you?
ならいいけど、これでも心配してるのよ。
I know.
またあんなことになったら私今度こそ自分を許せそうにないから。
I know, but I'm not pushing myself. I fell ill once in the past 3 years. That was all.
いい？私のためでもあるのよ。あなたを心配するのは。
I kind of miss the days when she would say, "Don't get the wrong idea," like some game character. However, the Shiraturi Mizuha sitting here at this bar was a real human, just one that gave off the impression of a certain artificiality. She intentionally uses self-deprecation in order to hide her true feelings, yet fails to hide them all the same. I know all too well about the bottomless sadness she carries in her heart. It's gotten late, huh? The winter wind wildly tore at us. It flows turbulently between nearby buildings and caresses Mizuha's hair. Come to my place.
そうね。どうしようかしら。
The subway stopped running, right? Mizuha lives quite a ways away from Central Boulevard. The official story was because the rent was cheap, but the truth is she just wanted to live far away from her parents.
お言葉に甘えようかな。
I felt like I finally saw her smile.
あれ？
Her smile suddenly disappeared. What?
姉さん。
Her voice trembles.
姉さんだ。
Her eyes were focused on the corner of a nearby building. I followed her gaze, but I couldn't see anything.
姉さん。
She suddenly broke off into a run. Hey, Mizuha!
姉さんこっちだよ。
Her voice was lost in the hustle and bustle of Central Boulevard.
ねえ見て、こっちだってば。
She disappeared into the alley she had been staring at earlier.
そんな。
What's gotten into you?
見えなかった？姉さんがいたのよ。
Only worn out, homeless beggars populated the alley Tokita had apparently dashed into.
そんなはずは。
Mizuha's eyes, desperately searching for her sister among the darkness, suddenly became those of a young girl. You must have been mistaken. This has happened before.
だって。
Those eyes slowly lost their sheen of innocence, transforming once and again into the mature visage of a woman.
ありえないわね。
If it really had been Tokita, she would have gone straight to meet you.
そうね。だといいけど。
She seemed to mock herself with her smile.
酔っ払ってるんだわ、私。もう帰りましょう。
Her shoulders droop as she walks along the sidewalk. She walks alone as if to say she doesn't need any help. My help. My metropolis was surprisingly unchanged by the years gone by. But the home we're headed for now hasn't changed at all. 3 years have passed. As Mizuha and I crossed the threshold of my apartment, I remember those days as if they were yesterday. I love you, Shiratori. It's only been a week since Tokida's sudden disappearance. Shiratori lost sight of herself, so I invited her to my room.
今なんて
I love you. I won't say it again.
嘘でも私
I know. You haven't felt right ever since Tokida disappeared.
そうよ姉さんが
Tears build up in her eyes.
姉さんがいなくなっちゃったよ
Shiratori cries loudly.
私に何も言わないでいなくなっちゃった
She was like a lost child.
浅井君もうどうしていいのかわかんないよ浅井君にも嫌われちゃうよ姉さんのアドバイスがないと何喋っていいかわかんないよ姉さんがいないと私
I rest my hand on Shiratori's head as she cries. It's alright. I'm here. Even if you don't have Tokida, you have me. I wipe her tears away. Close your eyes. I embrace her and steal her lips. Her sweet smell echoes in my head. She doesn't seem to be able to comprehend what just happened. With a vacant, stupid-looking expression, her gaze floats through the air. I'm going to love you, alright? She nodded. Her heart has been strained by her sister's disappearance, but it's possible that she suddenly feels liberated from that pain. She seemed like a doll, someone that simply stopped thinking.
結婚
She began deliriously.
結婚して
To Shiratori, love seems to be something done alongside the intent to marry. I guess this is a part of life.
でも嬉しい好きな人の部屋で初めてはって決めてた
I see. I'm not really sure if she's fine with me. The biggest question would be, who would be the best possible partner for Shiratori to spend her life with? We'll probably never know the answer to that. All the more reason for me to take responsibility. I put my hands on Shiratori's shoulders and take off her clothes. Okay. Well, it's too bad her sister ran away. And now, 3 years later,
何考えてたか当ててみせようか
I was suddenly pulled back into reality.
初めての時でしょ
I started to resemble Tokida.
そう
Her roundabout way of saying things, her gestures, you really are sisters.
姉さんに似てるって言われると 嬉しいわ。
Mizuha folds her arms, then half opens her eyes as if peering through my heart.
何か作ろうか。
Nah, I'm fine.
疲れてるのね。肩でも揉もうか。
I said I'm fine.
いいから。
Hey. She pulls me by the hand and sits me down on the bed. Mizuha's hands grip my shoulders. After a short while, a relaxing pleasure thrusts up from my shoulders and reverberates in my brain. It was a little too forceful, but she was certainly hitting the spot.
気持ちいい？
Yeah.
よかった。
Her gestures and speech have changed, but Mizuha's feelings haven't. Hey, I know I ask you this all the time, but why don't you move in with me?
それは前と同じ答えを返してもいいかしら。
Why? Wouldn't you prefer living closer to your work?
そんなに私と一緒になりたいの？
What's with the I turned around and pushed her onto the bed. You're just a crybaby princess.
あなただってお金の亡者のくせに。
Mizuha laughs and I laugh along. You've really gotten mouthy, you know that?
嫌いになった？
Yep.
嘘ね。
Where does that confidence come from? This is how we play these days. Our back and forth banter has become an everyday thing.
でも本当は私より姉さんの方が好きだったんじゃないの？
Well, our conversations were more lively, that's for sure.
会話が弾んだ方がいいなら今の私にだって満足しているはずよ。
You do have a way with words. I even think I'm talking to Tokita sometimes. Look, just hurry up and move in. As you can see, this room is plenty big enough for the two of us.
悪いけど家賃が高すぎるもの。
Do you honestly think I'd make you... I bite my tongue and Mizuha's teasing face draws near.
らしくないわね。お金を出してくれるなんて。
I didn't say I'd pay your half.
そうよね。浅井君に限って。
She grinned, but then suddenly, as if she was just liberated from something.
優しい人。
She muttered and put her face to my back.
そっか。姉さんに似てきたか。
She seemed to be talking to herself, so I didn't reply.
寝ましょう。浅井君。
That night, we fell asleep in each other's arms. Though her attitude may have changed, her kissing was still as clumsy as ever. Oh. The pair of sisters were so different, it was difficult to call them a pair. However, these differences merely sparked admiration and a touch of envy in Mizuha. Unlike her, Yuki could express herself masterfully, because Mizuha had always wished from the bottom of her heart to be more like a sister. Ziratory Mizuha had always seen Tokita Yuki as a strong, reliable, self-affirming entity, one that had been with her in some way as long as she could remember. If she just followed her sister, if she did as her sister said, she wouldn't have to think about anything. That's why that day, the morning before Yuki disappeared, she had failed to realize what was about to happen. Even now, these many years later, the events of that morning still hung heavy on her heart.
姉さん、どうしたのこんな時間に。
Mizuha had sneaked out of the house at the moment Yuki called her out. The sun was still yet to rise.
ごめんね、水葉。父親に叱られる？
あ、いいんだよ。気にしないで。
In actuality, the fear had nearly burst her heart each time she twisted one of the many squeaky doorknobs between her bedroom and the front gate.
じゃあ、行こう。
行くってどこに？
Mizuha didn't fail to notice the Boston bag in her sister's hand.
決まってるじゃない。ほら見て、大雪よ。
Following Yuki's gaze, she looked up at the pitch black sky.
雪がどうかしたの？
雪だるま作りに行かない？
Yuki's innocent smile seemed practically as ecstatic.
行く。どこ行く？
ここはあんまり積もってないけど、東区の山の方なら行けるんじゃないかしら。
じゃあ連れてって。
Mizuha acted like a spoiled little girl for a moment as she grabbed her sister's arm. What am I going to do with you? Yuki said in a ticklish tone as she led Mizuha by the hand.
姉さんと雪だるま。懐かしいな。楽しいな。
What am I going to do with you? Her sister repeated. Her tone was more sad than excited this time around. However, Mizuha was too busy rejoicing to pay it heed. She quickly shrugged it off. They hailed a taxi, and Yuki told the driver their destination. By the time the eastern sky had begun to illuminate with the fires of dawn, they had neared the hilly region they were headed for. The gravel road shook the taxi wildly. Mizuha gazed out at the milky white, snowy landscape, distracted entirely from the sister sitting next to her. They got out near a deserted park, and Mizuha immediately began to gather up snow. She diligently rolled snowballs fit for a snowman's body and head. She sought out branches and stabbed them into the body to create arms. She placed his bucket from the park's bathroom on its head and decided that her adorable snowman was finished. Her adorable snowman was finished.
頑張ったわね。
もう姉さんは何もしてないでしょ。
Not ballroom.
そうだっけ？
昔からそうだったよ。まったく姉さんはぐうたらさんだな。
They both look up to the sky. The sun peeks down from between the clouds. At some point, the snow had stopped.
マフラー巻いてあげたのね。
いけなかった？
ちょっとこいつに嫉妬したわ。
あ、ごめん。すぐ取り返すね。
冗談よ。でも忘れないでね。忘れずに持っていてね。
Yuki used a strangely insistent tone, but it didn't faze Mizuha.
ああ、水葉。
何？姉さん。
She glanced at her sister. Yuki was staring off into the sky with a tranquil expression.
父親と話をしてあげて。
お父さん？私の？
そう。寂しいでしょ？会話のない親子なんて。
That was unexpected. Mizuha knows that Yuki is far from fond of her father. She would frequently speak ill of him, her eyes blazing with some terrifying emotion. Those eyes were now meekly staring into the blue sky, still fixed there.
一応私の実の父でもあるしね。
Mizuha decided not to think too hard on it. This was her brilliant older sister, after all. It'd be best to just obediently comply with her.
わかったよ姉さん。今日の昼にもね、浅井くんに同じようなこと言われたよ。
あら、そう？
悪いやつは悪いやつなりに理由を持ってるから話し合ってみるのもいいかもしれないって。
彼らしい意見ね。ならもう私は。
何？
なんでもない。帰りましょう。
もう？
そろそろ家族が起きる時間でしょ。
そっか、さすが姉さん。
Mizuha was reluctant to part with the snowman. She patted its head a few times and said goodbye. She took back the scarf, hugging it a bit before putting it away. Mizuha didn't notice anything peculiar at all. She merely thought that Yuki was wistfully gazing at their snowman. Yuki's eyes, of course, were actually fixed on your younger sister.
運転手さん、ここで止めてください。
Yuki suddenly spoke up as the taxi approached a subway station in the eastern
どうしたの
district.
姉さん。まだお家じゃないでしょ。
ちょっと用があってね。あなたは一人で帰ってちょうだい。
用事って何？私もついて行ったらダメ？
早く帰らないと父親に見つかるわよ。
うん、そうだけど。
It was only just now that Mizuha began to get a bad feeling about this.
姉さん、浅井くんのことでまた相談があるんだけど。
ごめんね。また今度にしてもらえない？
今度っていつ？
さあ、都合によるかしらね。彼のことならもう大丈夫だと思うわよ。
でもまだ不安で。
困った子ね。
わかった。連絡待ってるね。都合がついたら電話してね。
She struggled with the desire to add, as soon as you can, failed to do so. She was perpetually unable to speak her mind, even when speaking with
じ
her
ゃ
blood
あ
sister.
アドバイスを。
Yuki swung her legs out the taxi door, rested her feet on the curb outside, and turned back to face Mizuha. The younger sister's eyes were
もっと
sparkling.
人を知ろうとしなさい。そして言葉で人を動かしてみなさい。
Mizuha didn't understand her in the least. The uneasiness washing over her, drowning her, nearly brought her to tears. If she had come to understand the women before her, if she had used the right words, would she have been able to stop her sister? Indeed, that was likely the case. However, it was too much to ask of the Mizuha sitting in that taxi. Her sister stood up, closed the car door behind her, and walked off somewhere. The snowman they had gone to the trouble of making melted away within a few days. There was no word from Yuki. Mizuha called many times, but she never heard as much as a ring. She just kept waiting for her sister. Unfortunately, she didn't even know where to wait. She stood idly on the school roof or in front of her house's gate, rubbing the cold and anxiety from her shoulders for hours on end.
水葉、何をしているんだ？
Her father confronted her about her behavior, no longer able to just sit by and watch. The night was frigid enough for his question to visibly disperse into a white mist in the air. Mizuha sat curled up on the curb
今
in front of
何
her
時だ
house.
と思ってるんだ？
The strong smell of alcohol on his breath almost drowned out the faint scent of perfume lingering about him. Director Shigetori approached Mizuha, the gin blossoms on his face a full shade redder with
また
frustration.
ユキか？あ？ユキと遊んでいたんだろ？
違う。
She answered, looking her father in the
姉
eye.
さんを待ってるの。
こんな時間から遊ぶつもりだったのか？夜更かしも大概にしろ。
本当に待ってるの。
She couldn't explain well. She didn't want to say that her elder sister had disappeared. To admit that would make her all alone again. Mizuha's father glared at her,
いい
disgruntled.
か？ユキの母親はな、会社の金を盗んだんだ。だから親子ともども追い出した。何か文句があるか？
She had been told the story a few times already. Each time, Mizuha's heart became more and more hollow. She was too scared of her drunk father to say anything. I'm sorry, Mason. Her heart whispered an apology as fate routed out the last of her feelings. Her father's verbal barrage against her sister continued endlessly. Whoa. Whoa. People are most easily persuaded when trying to sate their appetite. This is precisely why Mizuha often chose to meet with her father for
Rosa.
meetings.
聞いてる？
She asked her slouching father for confirmation as he sipped a cup of tea.
ああ、聞いてるよ。そうか、主任になったのか。すごいな、水葉は。
He clumsily strung words into pathetic sentences. Her father has been utterly demoralized for a few months now. The business world, the media, and everyone else have called him a loser since his company failed. Even his mistress refuses to hold relations with him. Mizuha's mother calls it all
出
karma.
世が早いな。さすがは父さんの。
Her father cut himself off as if brooding over something. From my daughter. Is he ashamed? Mizuha wondered. Perhaps he had been hit by the realization that he was never very
次はいつ会えるんだ？
He lifts his eyes to meet Mizuha, his nose still pointed to the ground in depression. He appeared to be gauging her reaction.
そうね。あさってはどう？
私はいつでもいいよ。
Her father's face suddenly lit up. Mizuha just smiled gently like her sister used to do. I shouldn't hold a grudge. Mizuha's heart reflected on the situation as she picked a grain of rice off her father's face.
意外と可愛らしいところあるよね、お父さん。
Tears welled in her father's eyes. Mizuha felt like she had seen something awkward and looked away. Whoa. I arranged to meet with Mizuha on one of her days off. She's been pouring all her energy into her work without so much as a single vacation, so I've been lucky to see her even once a week.
今度は浅井くんが遅刻ね。
Sorry, I'll buy you a drink to make up for it.
じゃ、遠慮なく。
I wouldn't quite say I insisted. We link arms and walk through the tranquil park.
ごめん、ちょっと会社から電話。
Alright.
出てもいい？
She even asked my permission. She hasn't always been so considerate. I nod and Mizuha opens her cell. She bore a dignified expression. Mizuha's gallant answering of the telephone was almost reminiscent of Tokita.
そう、よかったわ。先方も喜んでくれるでしょうね。違う、私のラインのみんなが優秀なだけ。それだけよ。祝杯？おごってくれるって？また今度にしてもらえるかしら。今、彼とデートなの。ええ、また改めて。ありがとう。お疲れ様。
She cut the call, laughing. You're awfully dignified, huh?
そう？
You have people working under you?
今年入った新人が5人くらい。みんなよく働いてくれるわ。
You seem to be fairly well respected.
だといいけど。
She looks down with a languid expression.
何？まさか焼いてるの？
You wish.
安心して。あなたより素敵な人なんてこの世にいないわ。
I got embarrassed and looked away from Mizuha. You've really picked up a way with words. She knows exactly how to pull my strings.
直球に弱いわよね。
You're a witch, you know that?
でも嘘じゃないわ。
She whispers to me as she nuzzles in my chest. However, our embrace didn't last long. It's alright, you don't have to pretend to be strong around me. Mizuha shook her head.
さあ、買い物に行きましょうか。
She walked in front of me again. It seems Katakura was suspected of burning down Tokita's house. Mizuha and I drank sake at the usual bar.
それが本当だとしたら殺されても仕方がないわね。
Tokita should have reported it to the police.
姉さんのことだからきっと自分の手で復讐を果たしたかったんじゃない？
How stupid.
馬鹿げてるわね。
Mizuha looked down to the ground.
今にして思うわ。あの頃の姉さん、ごく稀にだけど思い詰めたような顔をしていたから。
She did?
あなたも気づかなかった？
No, I did. The last time I saw Tokita, the time she waited with me in this very bar, I felt the same aura. The night she entrusted Mizuha to me. Looking back now, maybe she did act strange at times.
記憶にない？
Sorry, you know me and my bad memory.
そう。
Mizuha also seemed to be brooding over something.
もっと姉さんを知ろうとするべきだった。 私は姉さんを頼ってばかりだったけど、逆に姉さんには頼れる相手もいなかったのよ。
Mizuha then suddenly gazed at me.
私のこと好き？
Yeah. I nodded without hesitation.
ありがとう。今日は泊まらせて。
We finish our drinks and leave the bar. It's not often you ask to stay over.
迷惑だったら帰るけど。
Not at all. You can stay over every day. She sighed.
浅井くんは少し変わったわよね。
Is that so?
落ち着いたわよ。昔はもっとギラギラしてたもの。
I guess you defamed me. I meant it as one of my usual jokes, but
そうだよね。ごめん。
are you alright? You're acting different from usual.
だって浅井くんは。
Call me Kyosuke. I speak decisively, and Mizuha's eyes shoot open.
ダメ。また甘えてしまう。
You know my limit now, though, right? She bit her lip.
ダメよ。ほら、思い出してよ。私が迷惑ばっかりかけてるから、あなたは肺炎になったんじゃない。
That's not what happened.
嘘よ。あの頃の私はひどかったわ。気分の浮き沈みが激しくて、甘えたかと思ったら怒り出して。
I think back on that day. Back before the young girl I first dated began to wear suits. It was a night so cold I felt my lungs freeze over.
映画楽しかったね、京介くん。
It was a year after Mizuha and I first made love.
京介くんのお家はいい匂いがするな。
Laughing in full sweet little girl mode, she hugged me randomly, as if it were a natural thing to do.
どうしたの？何汗かいてるのかな？ひょっとして水葉のこと好きで緊張してる
She smiled mischievously as she teased me.
の？ねえ、チューして。チューしてよ、チュー。今二人きりだからいいでしょ。京介くん。チューが足りないよ。ギュってしてよ。
Not right now.
なんで？
Sorry.
ひどいよ、どうして？京介くん言ったよね。人前ではやめろって。誰もいないよ。いいじゃない。
No, I just...
何それ？何それ？何それ？いつもそうじゃない。思ってることあるなら言ってよ。私は全部話してるよ。素直になってるよ。何か悪いの？悪いなら言ってよ。
Mizuha shoved my chest. And as soon as she did so, my legs gave way and I lost consciousness.
だから浅井くんは3日も入院することになったのよ。
You didn't send me anywhere. I just caught a cold.
お医者さんが言ってた。体力が落ちてたのはストレスが原因だって。
Well, what do you expect? Gonzo was practically beating me over the head every day. Mizuha sighed.
ごめんなさい。いろいろと。
It's fine. Come here. I pull her over and Mizuha rests my arms with a confused expression.
私ね、
She began with a sigh.
好きな人にはどんな感情をぶつけても許されるって思ってた。
Mizuha didn't have a single person to talk to until Tokita returned to her.
舞い上がってたのよ。浅井くんが優しいから何をしても嫌われないって思ってたの。まるで物の扱いと同じじゃない。あなたが対等な人間であることを忘れていたんだわ。
There was a time I tried to treat her like an object too. I'm so glad I changed my mind that day 3 years ago.
よく今まで我慢できたわね。
Put up with you?
私と一緒にいてくれたじゃない。
Don't be silly. I'm with you because I want to be with you. Tears welled up in Mizuha's eyes.
同情してくれたんでしょ。
What?
私と付き合ってくれたのは、私を抱いてくれたのは不憫に思ったからなんでしょ。
I was a bit lost for words, not knowing how to answer.
姉さんが去り際に私のことを頼んだからでしょ。
So she knew that much.
バーのマスターに聞いたの。姉さんがいなくなる前日にあなたは姉さんに頭を下げられてたはずよ。
Mizuha's dignified voice deteriorated into sobs. Before she truly began to cry, I decided on the answer. You don't date someone for over 3 years out of nothing but pity. I wasn't going to lie.
分かってる。
I tried to keep her tears at bay, but despite my efforts, they were soon running down her cheeks.
分かっているからこそ嬉しくて申し訳なくて。
It's alright, sweetheart. Just calm down.
私怖かったのよ。一人じゃ何もできないから誰かを頼りたかった。それがたまたま浅井君だった。
And I'm so happy you chose me. So come on, there's no need to
あな
cry.
たが高熱を出してたなんて知らなかった。知ろうともしなかった。そんなんだから姉さんの悩みも聞いてあげられなかった。
She just kept repeating, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. I ran my fingers through her hair, gently petting her. You've asked me about a lot of things since those days, and to the best of my knowledge, I've told you everything. You even made me comfortable enough to talk about when I lived in that rundown shack in Hokkaido. Mizuha gave a small nod. Having someone to confide in is important to me too. You're the only person in the world I can be completely honest with. Mizuha started to quiver a bit.
ありがとう。
This time, she repeats, thank you, about 5 times. After that, we needed no more words. I gently wipe her tears away. We embrace each other, then head to the bed. I gently push Mizuha down onto it. Do you mind? Mizuha shook her head.
私もして欲しかったから。
Then call me Kyosuke. I use a commanding tone, which Mizuha seems to find somewhat strange.
どうしたのよ。呼び方なんてどうでもいいんじゃないの。
I was just thinking, words really are important.
そうね。姉さんならそう言うわ。
Then Mizuha closes her eyes. Yeah.
京介くん。
Before I fall asleep, I make a decision. There's something I need to talk to Mizuha about. The tables have turned, haven't they? past 2 days seemed to have taken their toll on Mizuha's father. With flaccid jowls, an ever-shrinking frame, and an utter lack of confidence, he slowly but surely shovels food into his mouth. He eventually looks up, suddenly filled with resignation.
もういいんだ。
The brandy bottle next to him was just out of his reach. In its place was an open packet of what looked to be stomach medicine.
もういいって。
私のことだよ。
He clarified in a hoarse voice.
どういう意味かしら。
私が悪かった。
He massaged his temples a bit as he narrowed his eyes in pain.
私が悪かったんだよ、水葉。
Before her was the ruins of the evil man he once was, the man who drove his mistress and daughter out of his home, the man who embezzled funds from a school's construction project, was now laying defeated. In the end, he was found out, and was forced to live a life in perpetual harsh disfavor. Even Hashimoto, the boy who'd taken Mizuha captive in the school, still seemed to hold her father's actions against him. That broken man's eyes light up, his face stiffens, and he groans.
私も私生児だったんだ。
そう。
聞いてもらえるか
もちろん。
With a face that seemed about to burst into tears at any moment, he laid bare the pain of his youth. He told her that his foster parents had been worthless, terrible people. He said his biological father had run away with another woman when he was just a baby. The mother he was left with, the last person he could rely on, then abandoned him as well. They had been eating at a ramen stall in Osaka, and the next thing he knew, she had disappeared forever. He suggested that the incident might have been the reason he avoided eating with his family. At the conclusion of his story, he heaved a heavy sigh and stared at his daughter. Mizuha knew he failed to find any sympathy in her eyes. She just kept silent. Silence can sometimes be more effective than words. It packs a powerful punch, especially when used against someone's weakest points. The silence Mizuha planted was at last broken by the words she had waited to hear for so long.
な。ユキに謝りたい。
The fingertips on his temples now dug their nails sharply into his head, and his whole body
謝
trembled.
りたい。謝らせてくれ。
He groaned. He took on a position that seemed more akin to prayer than anything else.
でも、姉さんはもういないわ。
He buried his face in his hands, then stopped
それ
moving.
でも、私はいるから。
Her father's lingering trembles instantly ceased. The moment Mizuha had been aiming for that had arrived, she must miss a chance to say everything she wanted him to hear.
私にお父さんを責めることはできないの。なぜなら私だって姉さんを苦しめていたのだから。わかるでしょ。家を出て行った姉さんが爪に火を灯すような毎日を過ごしていたのに、私はぬくぬくと可愛いぬいぐるみを集めていたの。姉さんの深い悩みを知ろうともせずに自分ばかり助けてもらっていたのよ。あなたはとても目立った悪人だけど、私に言わせればか弱い少女に甘んじていた私の方がよっぽどタチが悪いわ。あなたに罪があるのなら私だって糾弾されるべきなのよ。昔まだ心を閉ざしていた彼の部屋にお邪魔したことがある。彼が踏みとどまらなければ私は侵されていたと思う。それぐらい足りない女の子だった。彼と姉さんの深い優しさに包まれていなければ生きていけない。大した取り柄もない私はただ守られていたの。人は一人では生きていけないと言うけれど、一人で生きようともしなければそこには必ず甘いや媚びという悪が芽生える。そんな当たり前のことを私はようやく学んだわ。
Mizuha took a deep breath. After her long speech, she herself couldn't believe how fluently she spoke. Mizuha considered it a gift from her sister. Tokide Yuki was reflected in her father's eyes. Oh, the night her father broke down in tears, Kyosuke called Mizuha and arranged to meet with her.
一体何なの？デートするには少し遅い時間じゃない？
I was hoping we could do a little stargazing. Kyosuke shrugged his shoulders. If it had been a joke, she didn't understand it. The sky was blanketed by dark gray clouds and dry snow.
本当のことを言いなさいよ。
Well, there's a restaurant around here that's still open, you see. It suddenly dawned on her. It wasn't rare for him to wear a suit, but this was the first time she'd seen him wear a bow tie. She had also never seen him carry a bag like the one he held now in his left hand. Hesitantly, but in a light-hearted, joking tone,
プロ
she
ポーズ
said,
ならまだ早すぎるわよ。
You figured me out, he said,
京
laughing
介くん
calmly.
はボケがいまいちらしいじゃない。
Her pulse sped up and her lips went stiff. Kyosuke's grin only grew wider. See, that's the kind of thing that makes me want
どういう意
the
味？
old you back. You just completely ruined the mood. You used to keep quiet even when you knew what I was about
そ
to
ん
do.
な嘘でしょ。
She laughed timidly, but his face sharpened in sincerity. Not in the least. It's what I want to do, as long as I get to do it with you. He spoke in a low monotone. It was the voice he used when dealing with his I Corporation business. In other words, Kyosuke was nervous. Mizuha, cornered, could do nothing but spout words of rejection.
私でよければなんて言うと思った。
Wait! Screamed the alarm ringing in
よ
her
く
mind.
考えてよ。まだ早すぎる。
For some reason, she grew cross.
仕事があるのよ。この年で結婚なんかしたら周りに迷惑をかけてしまうわ。
Her mouth refused to stop there.
それにごめんなさい。私はあなたにふさわしいかどうか自信が持てないの。
At some point, Mizuha's face had reverted to the one she wore back in her school
あなたに
days.
はたくさん迷惑をかけた。
She didn't know how to react to her beloved Kyosuke, so she tried to get his attention by acting cold.
いや、そりゃ初めての時は結婚してなんて言ったけれど責任を感じる必要はないのよ。
Kyosuke just quietly stared at Mizuha as she panicked. The snow falling on Kyosuke's long bangs filled her chest with sorrow.
ごめん。今日は帰る。
She turns her back to Kyosuke as if to run away. He calls out to her. His gentle arms reach out to her. When those arms embrace her, she can't help but want to bare her feelings to him, to depend on him thoroughly. Thus, she closes her eyes, plugs her ears, and dashes away. She doesn't remember where she ran off to after that. All she remembers is jumping onto a subway train and heading home. Not to her one-bedroom apartment in the Western District, but to her parents' home, where her father is. I heard him. Her heavy footsteps wander through the town as a winter silence envelops it. Her cell phone has been ringing incessantly ever since she bolted away from Kyosuke. She hasn't been able to muster the courage to answer it yet. Huh? Her house had come into view before she even realized she was nearing it. The gate was covered with snow. Perhaps what she saw was only a hallucination. Perhaps the figure was real. In any case, it was staring at Mizuha's family home. It was gazing straight at the window of what was once Mizuha's room. She subconsciously straightened herself up.
姉さん。
Tokita Yuki was standing there on the street. She was wearing the same red coat and black pantsuit she wore the last time Mizuha saw her.
水葉、こんな時間まで何してたの？とっくに門限は過ぎてるわよ。
Her long, black, almost transparently thin hair was fluttering in the wind.
帰ってきたんだね。
Her sister shook her head, neither in denial nor confirmation. Confused, Mizuha looked for what to say next. What to say?
あのね、浅井くんと付き合ってもらってるんだ。
おめでとう。お似合いよ、水葉。
姉さんのアドバイスが効いたんだよ。ありがとう、姉さん。
Yuki nodded as if strengthening her resolve, said.
私が今まで何をしていたのか知りたくない？
うん、聞かせて。私、今度こそちゃんと聞くよ。姉さんのこと、たくさん知りたいんだ。
Mizuha drew in close enough to touch her sister. The illusion had legs. It wasn't a ghost. Her sister really had come back.
海を見に行ってたの？
海？
長い長い旅だったわ。外国の海は広く澄み渡っていて、波が宝石のように輝いてた。私はお母さんの形見を持ってお母さんと一緒に波打ち際を歩いていたの。
お母さん。
Mizuha muttered as her chest filled with loneliness.
そのために 3年近くも行方をくらましていたの。
Her sister answered bluntly.
そうよ。何の連絡もしないでごめんね。
I see, Mizuha says, hanging her head down. She's lying. Mizuha is not a little girl anymore. She may not have known of her sister's past, but that answer was obviously not right. Her sister's skin was too white to have been strolling along beaches for years. Above all, Tokita Yuki wasn't cold-hearted enough to go on a trip to mourn her mother without so much as contacting Mizuha. Perhaps she really was traveling abroad. She may have even visited the sea. Nevertheless, Mizuha knew. Her sister had killed someone and spent the past 3 years running away from the police. If she had contacted Mizuha, she knew her foolish little sister would have told the police of her whereabouts. She must have decided to come back because the investigation has progressed to a point where she's cornered with no escape. Tokita Yuki had come back to hand herself in. After looking more closely, Mizuha noticed that Yuki was thinner than the last time she saw her. Her hair looked dried out. The vast strength hiding behind her gentle smile had all but dissipated. She was shocked. Her sister had indeed killed someone. Her sister, who talked so much about the power behind words, gave into violence and set fire to a car. She left Mizuha behind and lived a life on the run in order to protect herself. However, Mizuha just smiled.
海か。よかったね。お母さんもきっと喜んでるよ。
She wanted to say the little girl her sister loved so dearly.
あのね。
Yuki's eyes gorged in an unfamiliar color, but the shine in her eyes that seemed capable of seeing through everything was still there. She opened and closed her mouth repeatedly, as if trying to say something and then changing her mind. Then suddenly, she let it all out.
ごめん。一人ぼっちにさせてしまって。
Mizuha was happy enough to just hear those words. People would soon scorn Yuki as a cowardly murderer. They wouldn't care to understand her reasons. But no matter what society did to her sister, Mizuha swore to never blame Yuki. The crybaby in Mizuha surfaced for a moment. She sobbed a bit into her suit sleeve. Before the tears could cloud her vision of her sister's face, she couldn't help but whine a little.
私ね、働いてるんだよ。もう主任になって一つのチームを任されてるの。同期じゃ一番の出世頭だよ。すごいでしょ。
Yuki looked at Mizuha's attire.
すごいわね。見違えたわ。
あとね、京介くんも私のこと好きだって。ついさっきなんか結婚まで申し込まれたの。私まだそんな気はないのに。ねえ、これって彼の方が私を好きってことじゃない？
へえ、やるわね。あの彼を虜にするなんて。
もう続婚みたい。だから一人ぼっちじゃないんだ。謝らなくていいんだよ。今幸せなのも全部姉さんのおかげだから。
Mizuha didn't want to burden her sister. She wore a pained expression on her face, but her eyes were filled with a soft gentleness.
それからなんと父さんにね、ついに謝らせたよ。
謝らせた？あの男に？
ユキに謝らせてくれって。おいおい泣き出したの。
どうやって？
姉さんに言われた通りに話し合って言葉でやっつけてやったんだ。
For a moment, Yuki looked overcome. She quickly held back her overflowing emotions and shut her mouth. Oh.
水、私は
She's crying.
あなたの思ってるような。
She's sad. Mizuha shook her head strongly as she wailed. The part of her brain that was still calm warned her that her sister was going to leave again. The joy from her reunion with her sister rebounded into deep sadness.
姉さんにはかなわないよ。私ね、姉さんになろうとして仕草とか言葉遣いを真似してたんだ。だって私甘えん坊だから自分で自分の性格も作れなかったの。いつだって姉さんの後をついてきたんだ。
私はあなたを守るという責任を。
責任なんてないよ。だって私たちは姉妹じゃない。お互いが支え合うべきだったんだよ。でもごめんなさい。私だけがいつも姉さんに甘えてたの。
いいのよ、水。あなたは悪くないのよ。なぜなら。
A teardrop poured down Yuki's slim chin. Mizuha interrupted her sister's words, something she never would have even thought of
ご
doing
めんね
before.
姉さん。私やっと分かった。姉さんだって辛かったんだって。誰にも打ち明けられないほどの悩みがあって苦しんで、それでいなくなったんでしょ。ごめんね。一人ぼっちで寂しかったのは姉さんの方だった。
そんなものあなたを置き去りにする理由にはならないわ。私はただ逃げたの。その上もうどうにもならないと思ったから京介君に水葉を押し付けたのよ。
でもそのおかげで彼もその気になってくれたみたい。
Tears washed over Mizuha's smile. Yuki had begged Kyosuke to the very end for Mizuha's sake.
するって
Her sister asked. I will, she thought. Mizuha couldn't imagine anyone forgiving her weakness other than that kind, strong man. Just as she opened her mouth to answer, her sister said,
顔に書いてあるわね。
叶わないな姉さんには。
おめでとう。彼によろしく。
Her sister was about to leave again. Mizuha forced a smile.
ありがとう姉さん。ありがとう。
Will she ever return? Mizuha had no idea.
水葉、私からもありがとう。
The snow piles up. Her sister's silhouette blurs into the distance. Mizuha's heart comes to a decision. If her sister ever returns, she'll drag her out under the winter sky to make another snowman. Oh no, Yuki. Feel bad for her. Spring the next year. Mizuha doesn't talk about her sister all the time like she used to. But she surely hasn't forgotten her. Tokide Yuki's name caused quite a sensation last winter. However, Mizuha refused to falter. Despite being constantly slandered with talk of her rotten father and sister, she visited Tokide in prison. She came to a firm decision after one such encounter. She decided to be happy for her sister's sake as well. Oh, that suits you.
そう
Yeah, it's been a while since I've seen you wear something so frilly.
たまにはいいじゃない。
Well, normally, you're only supposed to wear that once in your lifetime.
二度と着ることにならないようお互い努力しましょう。
Yeah, together. Mizuha isn't alone anymore. She's not the little girl sitting in the corner of the classroom anymore.
そろそろ開幕ね。
Her hand and mine stiffened a little.
ねえ京介くん、
What?
雪だるまは好き？
Not really.
好きって言ってよ。
Okay, I like some.
なら今度作るときはあなたも混ぜてあげる。
Oh, great. You're planning to make me do all the work, aren't you?
あら、どうしてバレたの？
Looks like I still haven't disciplined you enough yet.
やれるものならやってみてよ。
Alright, close your eyes.
ちょっともう幕が開くわよ。
You really are weak against these things.
やめてったら大勢の人に見られるわよ。
Yeah, the Yakuza bunch will be howling. I forcefully near Mizuha's lips.
わかったわ。私のこと好
Yeah,
きなら結婚してくれる？
that's a good one.
最後にこれだけは言わせて。
I couldn't wait any longer. Clapping and cheers welled up from the other side of the curtain.
あのね、
I shut up her loud mouth. It may sound rude, but I don't need to hear those words to know what she was trying to say. A melting sensation floods my heart through my lips as I imagine our future together. Naturally, Tokita is there too.
もう
Her shoulders tremble slightly. Ever the adorable young girl.
だからこれだけは言わせてって。
Yeah. Mizuha only wanted to say one thing. Thank you. Oh. Wow. So cute. That was a cute one. Okay. Oh, I gotta finish this chapter now. Bye.